Today is Wednesday, December 6th, the first Wednesday, I should say, in the month of December. Thanks to all of you for joining us here on this edition of Political Update from Atlanta News First. I'm Tim Darnell, joined by producer Maria Moreau and our first alert desk here in Midtown Atlanta. Here are some of your top political headlines for today. We have the latest in all of the metropolitan Atlanta runoff races that occurred yesterday, all of your latest results. Earlier this week, also, Governor Brian Kemp proposed the largest income tax cut in state history. And finally, at this hour, lawmakers are finalizing their specially called legislative session to redraw and reapportion Georgia's congressional and legislative voting maps. We'll have all of that latest news for you momentarily, but one of our top stories yesterday, Tuesday, December 5th, was runoff election day throughout many metropolitan Atlanta cities and counties, and just some of the more interesting results. In DeKalb County, DeKalb County is the largest city of Brookhaven. John Park, who has been a long-time city councilman, became the city's new mayor. Now, John Park is Georgia's first ever Asian American Pacific Islander to be elected mayor of a Georgia city. This is very significant because Brookhaven is DeKalb County's largest city, bordering the cities of Brookhaven, I should say Chamblee, Dunwoody, Tucker, and Sandy Springs, really forming one of the metropolitan Atlanta's strongest political and metropolitan triumvirates, if you will. Brookhaven, Chamblee, Dunwoody, and Tucker, very populous, very powerful, and influential cities throughout DeKalb County. John Park becomes the new mayor, as the former mayor, John Ernst, was term limited. Also in Brookhaven, in District 1, it was not a good day for incumbents throughout some of these metropolitan Atlanta runoffs, as we'll talk about momentarily. But in District 1, which is the city's most affluent commercial and residential district, longtime incumbent District 1 Brookhaven City Councilwoman Lindley Jones was defeated by Michael Diaz. He is a political newcomer. Lindley Jones, really one of the city's founding members and one of its most influential and recognizable citizens. She was removed from her Brookhaven District 1 seat yesterday. As I mentioned a moment ago, it's not a particularly good day for incumbents throughout metropolitan Atlanta. In the City of Atlanta at-large school board seat, that's going to be District 7, incumbent Tamara Jones was defeated by Alfred Brooks. Now, Alfred Brooks campaigned on the premise that teachers should have representation on the Atlanta School Board, and Brooks is believed to be the very first active teacher to serve on the Atlanta Public School Board. He is a teacher in the Clayton County School District. I believe, if my memory serves, he teaches math, possibly engineering. I may be incorrect on that. But nonetheless, Brooks is the very first active teacher ever elected to an Atlanta school board position. We also mentioned on Monday, Governor Brian Kemp has proposed speeding up a planned cut to Georgia's income tax rate, which he says will save Georgia taxpayers more than $1 billion. And our own Abby Kasoris has this package for us.
House and Senate Republicans applauding Governor Brian Kemp announcing a plan to speed up House Bill 1437, a bill that gradually decreases the state's income tax over the next few years to under 5%.
And work to ensure your government works for you, not against you. That's a lesson many in Washington, D.C. should learn from us.
The median household in Georgia earns more than $65,000 a year, which means your family could keep nearly $500. House Appropriations Chair Matt Hatchett says this move was made possible because of his committee's conservative approach to spending.
We've been fortunate the last few years that more revenues come in than any of us could have imagined. So it definitely has made this announcement possible today.
What I'd like to see is a more equitable tax system.
Maggie Anderson from Decatur says she mentors girls from low-income families who rely on the state's benefits programs. She calls them a disaster.
And what it took to go through the food stamp system, I was appalled.
The Georgia Budget and Policy Institute found 39% of the benefits would flow to the top 5% of Georgia tax filers who make more than $250,000 a year.
$200 or $300 doesn't really matter to people who have a decent, comfortable income. $200 or $300 means a lot if that's a monthly additional food stamps or a monthly support for rent.
Abby Kasoris, Atlanta News First.
That was our own Abby Kasoris reporting from the state capitol and development earlier this week when Governor Brian Kemp announced his intention to introduce in the upcoming regular legislative session next month a plan to cut Georgia's income tax rate, saving taxpayers, what he says, more than $1 billion. Also happening at the state legislature at this very hour, lawmakers are holding the last in a series of public hearings on the court-ordered reapportionment, that is, the redrawing of Georgia's congressional voting maps. Now, earlier this week, lawmakers in both chambers approved newly drawn state legislative, that being state House, and state Senate legislative voting maps. Still yet undecided is how Georgia's congressional maps will be redrawn. Rebecca Schramm had this package that aired only a couple of hours ago, so it has your most latest and current information here.
The Republican plan moves black voters around like pawns in a game.
Democrats at the Georgia Capitol are not at all pleased with new voting district maps drawn by their Republican colleagues. It was U.S. District Court Judge Steve Jones who ordered the new state maps, saying the current ones violate the Voting Rights Act of 1965 by illegally weakening black voting strength. With Republicans in charge under the Gold Dome, lawmakers approved the new House and Senate maps along party lines. Democrats say the new maps were drawn in such a way that they won't do enough to increase representation for black voters. They say Republicans are taking the state backward at a time when the black population is growing. Republicans say the new maps meet the judge's requirement by adding 7 more majority black districts.
How in the world are we weakening the black vote in these 2 districts if we are drawing a majority district? How you explain that to me, because I cannot, for the life of me, figure that out.
That was our own Rebecca Schramm reporting this morning from the state capitol. We are anticipating that the state house will pass and adopt, probably along party lines, the newly drawn proposed congressional maps. The state Senate has already adopted those maps. That happened yesterday, and when the House does indeed approve the newly proposed congressional voting maps, they, along with the other state legislative maps, will head to Governor Brian Kemp's desk for approval. Now, he has, according to the court order from last month, has until Friday to sign off on the maps, and we anticipate that there will be a number of court challenges that could perhaps delay the implementation of Georgia's new voting maps for 2024. So these are all of the latest political news and developments that we're following. Thanks to all of you for watching this edition of Political Update here on Atlanta News First from our First Alert desk. And stay with us at atlantanewsfirst.com for all of your latest political news and developments as Georgia continues to hold the spotlight of the nation's political attention. Thanks for watching.